Okay, so I'm going to go over some questions I received for this chapter. Mostly they were through discussions. This is actually here a previous question from before. So let me go ahead and start addressing some of these questions. So outside of GPA and school-related requirements, what requirements are necessary to be the best candidate as a grad student in psychology specific field? So I guess this means a specific field in psychology. So outside of this, I would say experience, right? Oftentimes when students are applying for jobs, even grad school, they're frustrated because they don't have the experience yet. Some of you are in your senior year, so it's more difficult to do this, but find ways to volunteer, get experience. I know it's going to be difficult because you're students and you might be working and you might have family responsibilities on top of that. But what you really want to do is get that experience in some way, depending on what your career goal is. So if you're thinking clinical, if you're thinking you want to work in a medical setting, then try volunteering at a hospital, try volunteering at a clinic, right? Look at the nonprofits. Pacoima has a bunch of them. We do have some around here. Look around, ask clinical faculty if they have any recommendations. If you're thinking about research, if you want to go straight into a job right after graduating, then you do want to make sure you're getting some research experience. Or if you're thinking about ABA, with ABA, Applied Behavioral Analysis, you can actually get a job while a student in this field. So it depends on the field. The main point is get experience. I'm going to actually skip that one. It depends. If you're wondering about this kind of question, come talk to me. And here's another school related question. You really don't do this. It is a stressful process. So there's ways you can help mitigate some of the stress, but the main thing you can do is just focus on preparing. Don't wait for the last minute, because you do have to write a statement of purpose, right, regarding your interest in the graduate program. Start early. Start off with a shitty draft and make it less shitty and make it really a clean looking draft, right? Like make it really good. That's going to take time. That's going to take several revisions. Get feedback from peers. If you're close to any faculty, ask them if they'll take a look. Oftentimes faculty don't have time, but in that case, see if you can find somebody else in your university. Most of you CSUN. I don't know why I said that, but I guess I was just had in mind other people might be listening to this, but just look for other people, look for counselors, look for peers, look for grad students who would be willing to take a look. That's my main take-home message for that. So now regarding the p-value. So one question that came up is, just a reminder, is if you have a p-value that's less than 0.05, all we know is that there's no significant bivariate association or correlation, right? That's all we know, right? So by significant, I mean according to our statistical standards, we cannot say it's significant. I'm not saying it's important or not important. I'm just saying based on our standards, we can say there is likely a relationship or there is not likely, or we're not confident in saying there is a relationship between the two variables. That's all this is telling us. It's not telling us the strength of the relationship. Keep that in mind. All we know is we can either say or not say confidently that there likely is a relationship if this is below 0.05, but we cannot say the strength. The 0.05 is based on our field. If you were in a medical field, you would want to go with something more strict, likely, oops, I'm not sure why I went back, likely 0.01, right? Keep in mind, this is, I keep saying 5% because when you turn that into a percentage, it's actually 5%. So this is actually 1%, right? we're comfortable as a psychology field, as a social science field, with a 5% probability that we found a relationship between the two variables when in reality it might not be there due to a mistake or how we collected data, right? So regarding effect sizes, now this is what tells us the strength of the relationship between the two variables, right? P-value just tells us, okay, you can say, based on these guidelines, you can say that there is a relationship, right? You can say there's a significant relationship. But effect size tells us the strength between relationships. Here, actually, whoops. Let me move this around a little bit. It's this one and this one we're focusing on, right? So we can say if this relationship, if the p-value in our analysis for this correlation was below 0.05, we can say that there's a significant relationship between these two variables. But now effect size tells us the strength of the relationship. The strength of the relationship has to do with, well, how well can one variable predict the other? How strongly are they tied together? We use this as a guideline for our field. Keep that in mind. 0.1, negative 0.1, small or weak. 0.3, negative 0.3, medium or moderate. 0.5, negative 0.5 or above, large or strong. So keep that in mind. This is what tells us the strength of the relationship, the effect size. So keep that in mind. If you have any other questions, please do email me.